All right, and we are back. The first episode just went live. Uh, it's been really cool seeing what everybody's been saying so far. Thank you for watching. This video, I think I'm just going to be focusing on agility. So 86 to 90 agility should take me somewhere around 20 to 25 hours depending on how efficient I am. I am going to be doing it here at the Hallowed Sepulchre. Thankfully, I've done a decent amount of Sepulchre already, so I already have like all of the upgrades that I need. I am going to be looting, but not looting everything. I generally don't loot floors 1 and 2, and then I kind of go back and forth between looting everything on 3 and 4 or just looting some things. I know the wiki says that you shouldn't be looting any of the prayer coffins or any of the grapple chests, but sometimes I like to do it. I'm not about being the most efficient possible, just having as much fun as possible. I always say, the most efficient thing you can do is not burn out, and sometimes playing super efficiently contributes to burnout, so yeah, let's get into it. Like I did in the last video with Runecraft and Hunter, I want to go over why I'm choosing this method for training agility. There's a few reasons I've chosen Sepulchre over something like Rooftops or the Brimhaven Agility Arena, firstly being that it's definitely the best XP per hour that I can get. Optimally, at my level, you can get up to around 70k XP per hour while looting the coffins and around 80k XP per hour without looting them, but in practice for me, it came out to more around 60 to 65k per hour while I was looting, and something like 70 to 77k per hour without looting, depending on my focus and how many mistakes I was making. The second reason I chose Sepulchre was because I've really wanted the black Graceful set pretty much since it was introduced into the game. Personally, I don't really care for any of the other colors, but I absolutely fell in love with the black set once they fixed it to make it darker. I know eventually I'll probably end up getting all of the colors for completionist reasons, but for now I really only care about the black recolor. The final reason I've decided to go with Sepulchre is because I honestly just find it fun. Now don't get me wrong, I still think that agility is probably the worst skill in the game right now, but at least having content that makes you think about what you're doing and where you can constantly improve helps me a ton with staving off burnout. I do think that other methods like Rooftops have their place, but I think something about needing to be decently precise in order to get higher XP rates really helps me stay engaged with the content while I'm doing extended periods of training. I mean, my favorite agility training before Sepulchre was the Werewolf Agility course, which I know is a pretty unpopular opinion, and it was especially unpopular back in the day before they made the course give marks of grace, but I think something about needing to be tick perfect while crossing the stones, paired with the slight variations in your pathing depending on where the stick landed, helped to keep me engaged while doing it. And honestly, I think that doing something that keeps you engaged or that you find fun is the best way to avoid burnout in this game. Oh, cool. I think that's the third one of those that I've found. I think there's like 4 or 5 total, but they're like a 1% chance when you open a chest. Let's check when we're back in the lobby. Alright, let's reset our inventory real quick, so we can do some more looting. Oh, look at that, I have 420 hallowed marks. Alright, let's get our Ring of Visibility out so that we can actually see these guys. Put that on. There we go. I think it was the owl. Yeah. I need Ghost Peak. Just grab my legs for that. So these guys, I believe they have like a 1% chance to spawn whenever you open a chest on floors 1 through 4. I think that's how it works. But they're just like a little lore dump kind of thing. There's 4 of them in total. And then I think 1 extra that can just be looted from floor 5. But yeah, only 1 more. Let's keep going. Alright, with this lap, 87 agility. That didn't take too long. I was already, a decent way into 86 to 87. Next level probably will be 8 hours or so. Maybe a little bit less, because I should probably get all of the marks that I need once, probably like in the middle of 87 to 88. And once that happens, I'm gonna just stop looting altogether, and then probably won't start looting until 92 when I get the final coffin that you can loot, and hope for a ring of endurance. But yeah, we're gonna keep going. Oh, and there's the last of those ghostly knights that we needed. So I think now it's just one more that we can only get from floor 5, but cool. Alright, we just gotta grab our ring of visibility. And there we go. There's, yeah, the Knight of the Lion is the newest one. Cool. Located beneath the vampiric city of Darkmire, the Hallowed Sepulchre is a Cerdominous burial ground turned agility course, comprised of 5 different floors filled with traps, obstacles, and lootable coffins. Entering the Sepulchre requires completion of the Sins of the Father quest for access to Darkmire, as well as level 52 agility to access the first floor. Every 10 agility levels, a new floor is unlocked, with floor 5 requiring level 92. For this grind, since I'm starting at 86, I'll have access to floors 1 through 4. Each floor has progressively more difficult traps to clear, and awards progressively more XP upon completion. You have a limited amount of time to complete the Sepulchre, with each floor adding 2 minutes to your timer. If your timer runs out, you'll still be able to complete your current floor, however you won't be able to loot any more coffins and you won't be able to progress on to the next floor. There are a total of 5 different base traps in the Sepulchre, with them getting more difficult to deal with the deeper you go. Knight statues will throw a sword that will fly out in front of them before stopping, then returning to the statue. The deeper the floor, the faster the sword will move. If you're hit by the sword, you'll take a small amount of damage and be sent back to just before the knight statue. Next is the wizard statues. These will shoot flames from their hands, covering a row of tiles. Deeper in the Sepulchre, groups of wizards will alternate fire patterns, making it slightly more difficult to know where safe spots are. If the player is in these flames or tries to run through them, they will again take a small amount of damage and be sent back to just before the statues. The third trap is the crossbowman statues. These statues will always be in a group of 3, and like the name suggests, they wield crossbows, shooting bolts out in a straight line. As you progress through the floors, these statues will go from only 1 shooting a bolt at a time to 2 shooting at a time, making only one path safe to move through. If you're hit by a crossbow bolt, you'll take a small amount of damage and be sent back to just before the trap. I want to add here that the hitboxes for the bolts are a little unusual and definitely take some getting used to. I know when I was first learning, there were a lot of instances where I felt like I shouldn't have gotten hit, but I did. Eventually, you do get a feel for them, but just know that it can be a major point of frustration when you're learning. The fourth trap is the priest statue. These are some of the easier ones to deal with. They only appear on floors 4 and 5, and they shoot lightning in a 3x3 checkered pattern on the ground. The lightning only strikes every few ticks, and by running, you can actually skip the tiles hit by the lightning altogether. Unlike the other traps, these will only stun the player, making them unable to move for a short time, but they will not send you back to before the statues. The final trap is the strange tile. There are 2 types of strange tiles, yellow and blue. Tiles will be either active or inactive, with active tiles glowing intermittently. If you step on an active yellow tile, you'll be teleported back around 3 to 5 tiles, and stepping on an active blue tile will teleport you forward around the same amount of tiles. After you've been teleported, you're also invulnerable for a couple of ticks, meaning that these teleports can be used to get past certain other traps. Additionally, on each floor, there are skilling obstacles that lead to the lootable coffin. There are 4 different obstacles, each requiring a different skill and different items in order to pass. First, there are broken bridges, which require level 56 construction as well as a hammer, a saw, 2 planks, and 5 or more nails, depending on if any are bent or broken, to repair and cross. Higher construction level and higher materials used reduces the chance to bend and break nails. Next is the Cerdomin Brazier, requiring level 54 prayer and 2 vampire dust to light in order to pass the barrier. Third is the Portal Frame, which the player must cast an enchantment spell from the normal spellbook on in order to open. The success of opening the portal is dependent on the level of enchant spell used, and if you fail to open the portal twice in a row, it'll break and become impassable. The fourth and final type of skilling obstacle is the Pillars, requiring level 62 ranged as well as a myth grapple and a crossbow. This is failable, but I can't seem to find if the chance to succeed is based on your range level or your agility level. If you happen to know, I would love it if you could educate me a bit in the comments. The coffins all require level 66 thieving to loot, with failure chance decreasing as thieving level increases. Also, having a lockpick in your inventory can further decrease your failure chance. Upon failing, the player will be poisoned and will have to attempt to pick the coffin again. The loot inside of the coffins will roll on one of 3 tables, low tier, mid tier, or high tier, with the average value of each at the time of recording being 2000 GP, 7500 GP, and 28,000 GP respectively. These tables will roll things from potions to runes to alchables, with the chance of rolling higher tier tables increasing on higher floors. There's also a unique table, rolled no matter the tier of table rolled. This unique table has a chance to give the Strange Old Lockpick, which increases your chance to pick coffins within the sepulcher. This Strange Old Lockpick also has the ability to open locked doors in the Barrows tunnels, with a total of 50 charges available before the lockpick disintegrates. The unique table will also always give you hallowed marks for every chest, with the number received being dependent on the current floor. These marks are the currency used to buy different sepulcher-specific rewards from the mysterious stranger in the lobby of the activity. This shop is filled with items that are extremely useful in the sepulcher, as well as a teleport there, some cosmetic overrides, and sacks containing loot from the coffins. For items useful within the activity, there's the Hallowed Grapple, which takes place of a Myth Grapple, and will guarantee success with pillar obstacles. Next is the Hallowed Focus. Wielded in the offhand, this gives a 100% chance to open portal frames, as well as speeding up the enchanting process. It will also automatically choose the lowest level enchant spell that you have runes for. Then we have the Hallowed Symbol, a necklace that reduces the number of vampire dust needed to light Saradomin braziers from 2 to 1. After that, we have the Hallowed Hammer, an equipable hammer that will ensure you never break nails when repairing bridges in the sepulcher. Unfortunately, this does not work as a normal hammer outside of the sepulcher. Finally, we have the Hallowed Ring. This ring will negate any damage taken from the traps in sepulcher, as well as speed up recovery time when you're sent back after hitting a trap. With the exception of the ring, these can all be bought for 100 hallowed marks each. The ring, however, is 250 marks. For 10 marks each, you can purchase hallowed tokens, which can be used to give you an extra minute of time when used inside of the sepulcher. For 1 mark each, you can purchase hallowed crystal shards. These act as teleports to the lobby of this activity. These are useful not only for doing sepulcher itself, but it's also right next to an agility shortcut out of Darkmire that puts you just a few steps away from Araxor's lair. For cosmetic overrides, we have the Dark Dye for 300 marks each. This dye can be used one at a time to recolor the graceful outfit to be black. Since I've already gotten all the upgrade items, this is the main thing that I'm saving up for. For all 6 dyes needed to recolor a whole set, it comes out to 1800 marks. The other cosmetic override is the Dark Acorn for 3000 marks. This can be fed to the pet giant squirrel, giving it a black and red color scheme instead of the blue and orange color scheme it has originally. The final item available from this shop is the Hallowed Sack. These can be purchased for 100 marks each and can be opened for 5 rolls from the low tier table, 1 roll from the mid tier table, and 2 rolls from the high tier table. At the time of recording, the average value of 1 sack is around 74,000 GP, meaning if you traded all of your marks for sacks, marks would have a GP equivalent of around 740 each. Additionally, through dialogue, for 200 marks, you can purchase the ability to make the sepulcher instanced, meaning that start timings on every floor will be the same throughout all future runs. This essentially guarantees that you'll have good timings for traps. However, I'm sure that there are some niche scenarios where certain timings on the non-instance version will allow you to have better floor completion times. Alright, with this chest here, 1800 marks, baby. Let's go. After this run, I get to go get my Black Graceful. Alright, Mr. Mysterious Stranger. Give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dark dyes. 1. Oh, yes. 2. Yes. 3. Yes. 4. Yes. 5. Yes. 6. Yes. Oh, it looks so good. Oh, I've wanted this for so long. It feels so good to finally have it. And now we don't have to loot the chest anymore, baby. That's what I love to see. Alright. And now we just go for XP per hour. I just realized that was my 500th collection log too. That's huge. Awesome. I think that gives me a collection log rank now. We love that. Alright. Back to agility. Let me tell you, man, it has been so nice not needing to loot. The XP per hour has definitely gone up a good amount, but I think it's just so nice being able to just kind of chill, you know? And going down these stairs, boom, 88 agility. Didn't get the pop-up for some reason, but yeah, I'm gonna finish this floor and then go to bed. Alright, it is the next morning. I hit 88 agility last night, and I think I need a little bit of a break, so I think it's time for a little detour to Hydra. You know, I think that this boss is probably one of the most boring bosses in this game. I think that counting to 3 over and over and over again is like counting sheep in my brain, and I just fall asleep doing it. But every once in a while, I'll just get this feeling in my brain that's like, I want to go click Hydra right now. And pretty much regardless of whatever I'm doing, I will drop it to go kill Hydra when I feel like that. Because this is one of those bosses that you really need to take advantage of any moment that you want to do it. Because you don't know how long that'll last. You don't know when the next time it'll come around is. You know, I've had this task probably about a month and a half, and it's been maybe like a month since I last killed the boss because I couldn't do it. I just wasn't feeling it, you know? But something today, I mean, I've gotten a couple agility levels already. I got my black graceful, and I just needed a break from Sepulcher, and I felt like, you know, perfect time to do some Hydra. So I'm taking advantage of that, which luckily segues me into my little ramble topic for this part of the video, which is Burnout. I got a comment on the last video that was basically just somebody, you know, saying they're also on the maxing grind and do you ever get burnt out? And of course the answer is yes. I think we all get burnt out from this game at some point or another, you know. We all take breaks. But I'll say that within the last year or so, I haven't really burnt out as much as I normally would have. And I think that a big reason for that is I've kind of just started doing whatever I want to do in the game. And, you know, like right now, of course, I want to get base 90s. That's my big goal. And I have goals for after that. But, you know, if I'm not feeling something, I will just go do something else that I want to do. And so I think that keeping the game fun and engaging, you know, learning new things is a great way to keep burnout away. Even if they're things like, you know, I've learned 1.5 tick teaks, I've learned 3 tick granite or 3 tick sandstone, you know, 2 tick woodcutting, all that stuff. Sometimes it's just, you know, you want to learn. But sometimes I'll be doing 2 tick teaks and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, and I'll go cut redwoods. You know, sometimes I'll be in the middle of a Slayer task and I'm like, this is boring, I want to go kill bandos, and I'll just go gear up, get KC, go kill bandos. I think that, you know, like I said before, burning out is pretty much the least efficient thing you can do, because I know that when I listen to myself and I stop doing the thing that I don't want to do anymore to go do something that I do want to do, it makes it a lot easier to go back and do that thing that I didn't want to do. But if I just keep grinding something and grinding something and grinding something, I will either keep going until I finish it or not finish it at all. And in both scenarios, once I'm done, I just don't want to play the game anymore. I'll take a week or two off. And I think sometimes it's good to take, some time off, whatever. But if you want to keep playing, it's always best to just, keep yourself engaged with the game. And especially on a grind like maxing, I know that eventually you'll get to the point where, you're on your final skill or whatever, and you just have to grind it out. But I want to try and keep things as, even as possible. I figure I'll probably get Slayer and my melees and hopefully prayer as well before most other things. But I want to keep everything else pretty even so that I have a lot of content to be able to jump through, to keep myself engaged, keep myself interacting with the game in a way that's enjoyable to me. It's like one day I might think that, running rooftops in Arty is like the best thing ever, and I'm just going to do that for 6 hours straight. And then the next day I think that that's the worst thing ever, and I just want to AFK stars. I think that locking yourself into just like one grind is really, or can be really detrimental to your longevity of playing. And of course everyone's different, but that's just how I found for myself, how I've kept burnout at bay, is just switch up the content that you're doing, learn new things, stop doing things when they are no longer fun. Everybody likes hitting a goal, but if hitting that goal means burning out, then it's way more efficient to just take a break and do something else. Come on, dude. Oh, dumb. Yes. Are you kidding me, dude? Oh my god. It's my 9th Hydra's heads. Never lucky. Well, Hydra task is done. We have 54 mil, but no claw. We can check out the collection log here. No claw, 2 tails, 3 leathers, 2 full rings, 1 extra piece, and 9 heads. It is what it is. Alright, now that our Hydra session is over, and still no claw, I'm going to do one last thing before going back to agility. I need to check my kingdom. I believe I should either have or just about have all of the mahogany logs that I'll need for 99 construction. So I'm just going to check right now. See how many I have after I top up my favor here. Alright. We have topped up our favor. Let's go ahead and first check this, make sure. Alright. Let's see what we get. 6644. I think that should get us all the way to 99 now. Which means now I just need to plank make all of my mahogany logs, which is going to be a lot. But yeah, back to agility now. Now that I've already gone over the basic mechanics and rewards for the sepulcher, I wanted to focus a little bit on what a run-through actually looks like. I won't be going over how exactly to get past each trap, but I wanted to give an overview of the basics of each floor to give you somewhere to start. Upon entering the sepulcher, the player will be randomly put into one of 4 different paths of floor 1. The traps of floor 1 are fairly easy to pass, but they give a good idea of what to expect going forward. Depending on the path given, you can encounter up to 3 different base traps. For knights, you can either follow the sword as it's thrown or wait for it to return to the statue in order to pass. For wizards, you have 4 ticks of fire and then 4 ticks between fire attacks, with fire coming out again on the 5th tick of a cycle. Most of the time, you'll be able to get through some or most of the statues, and then stop on a safe tile, wait for the fire, and then progress past the remaining statues. Finally, on floor 1, for crossbow statues, wait for the statue to light up to see which one is going to shoot, and stay out of the path of that statue. Wait for the bolt to pass you before switching to a different row. At the end of floor 1, there will be either a pillars obstacle or a broken bridge obstacle to get to a coffin. Generally, since floor 1 coffins will only give 1 hallowed mark, it's not really worth it to loot these, but you can if you want to. Once you cross the stepping stone, the timer will stop and you'll be able to progress to the next floor. At the end of each floor, near the doorway to the next, there will be a Saradomin obelisk, which the player can pray to if they are wearing at least one piece of Saradomin gear, such as a holy symbol or a holy blessing. Doing so will fully restore run energy. Note that all of the hallowed items that you get from the shop count as Saradomin gear for this, so having any or all of these equipped will allow you to top up on run energy after every floor. Floor 2 also has 4 different possible paths, with one being randomly chosen upon entering. This floor is still fairly easy, however it does introduce the strange tiles. The general rule for these is to stay off of active yellow tiles and utilize the active blue tiles whenever you can. This doesn't mean to always go for them, however. If it messes up your flow, it's usually best to just keep going instead of slowing down to attempt to catch a blue tile. For coffins on this floor, you'll either come across a pillars obstacle or a brazier obstacle. Again, just like with floor 1, it's not really worth it to loot these as they give fairly low marks and low tier loot, but it's completely up to you. I know that when I first started learning Sepulchre, I looted floors 1 and 2 for a while. Floor 3 is where the difficulty really starts to ramp up. This floor has 2 different top paths that converge into one bottom path to finish up the floor. This is also the first floor where crossbow statues will be shooting 2 at a time instead of 1, and the first floor where you'll be navigating around 2 traps at the same time. That being said, both upper paths are still fairly straightforward. I would definitely suggest when learning to take your time with floor 3 though, as getting these obstacles down will really set you up for the future. Both paths have a pillar obstacle at the beginning, however it's usually more worth it to pass these in favor of the later coffins. One path has a brazier obstacle, while the other path has a portal frame obstacle. Both of these coffins are fairly quick to loot, and they both come right before entering the bottom path of floor 3. The bottom path of floor 3 is definitely the largest spike in difficulty I've experienced in the Sepulchre. You have crossbow statues shooting at you, as well as sets of wizards alternating shooting fire along your path, meaning you have to avoid crossbow bolts while simultaneously timing your run to not get hit by one of the 2 sets of wizards. Also, the right and left sides of the wizards alternate, so you need to keep track of which tiles are safe in between cycles. When I first learned this, it probably took me a good 2 minutes just to get past it the first time, and it took me a while before it got easier. Even now, I still get hit here every so often, but I do believe that anyone can learn the timing for this. It's definitely difficult to get down, but if I can do it, anyone can. The good news is, once you're past the second set of wizards, it's across the stepping stones and onto the next floor. Alright, and going down these stairs here, there's 89. One more level to go, 500k XP. Hopefully that should be around 7 hours or so. But we'll really see. This episode has been taking a lot longer than normal. But yeah, we'll see. Floor 4 also has 2 paths that converge at the end. However, the bottom paths are still different up until the run to the exit. Honestly, I find this floor easier and more fun than floor 3. This floor really utilizes the strange tiles, and if you're lucky, you can really blast through some of the traps with good forward teleports. Of course, on the flip side of this, getting unlucky with backward teleports can really throw you off. I would say that this floor I had the most time variations with, ranging from 3-minute completion times to 1 minute 22 seconds as my personal best throughout this grind. For coffins on this floor, on one path you'll find a portal frame obstacle, while the other will have a broken bridge obstacle, both coming just before going down into the lower path. After both lower paths, just before the staircase leading to floor 5, there's a brazier's obstacle. Then it's just through the gate and down the stairs to the final floor. That's the extent of the content that I've done, but I want to go over quickly what floor 5 looks like. There's only one path on floor 5 going through 3 different levels. Some things to note about this floor is that Wizard's fire attacks are a tick faster than previous floors, and all of the traps are significantly longer than pretty much anything else up to this point. At the end of floor 5, you can loot the Grand Hallowed Coffin, which drops between 8 to 10 hallowed marks, always rolls the high tier loot table, and has a chance to drop the Ring of Endurance at a rate of 1 in 200. This ring, charged with stamina potions, will double the effectiveness and duration of stamina potions when worn, upping them to restore 40% run energy and lasting 4 minutes instead of the default 20% run energy and lasting 2 minutes. Additionally, if the ring has 500 or more charges, it will passively reduce run energy drain by 15%. At just under 7 mil at the time of recording, this is definitely the big ticket item you're looking for here. The last few things I wanted to go over were my gear and inventory setups, as well as some useful plugins for the Sepulcher. For gear, I've used full Graceful the entire time I've done Sepulcher, but really as long as your weight is at 0, you can have whatever you want on, so put on some weight reduction gear and go crazy with your fashionscape, as long as you have at least one piece of Saradomin gear equipped for the obelisks. If you're planning on looting coffins, then I would suggest equipping a myth grapple and a crossbow, and eventually filling out slots with the items from the Mysterious Stranger's shop. For inventory, if you don't plan on looting, then there you go, empty inventory. If you wanted to, you could bring stacks of items and runes to Alk, or the materials to fletch arrows, bolts, or darts, but honestly, I could never be bothered with that. I think I tried to bring Alks once, but it kind of messed up my flow to keep up with, so just know that your mileage may vary. Now, if you do plan on looting, then I would suggest your inventory look something like this. A hammer and saw along with some nails, a fire staff swap to Alk loot from the coffins, 4 planks, 4 vampire dust, a Sarah brew or some kind of food to heal for when you get hit by traps, a stamina or super energy potion in case you have trouble with a floor and run out of energy, which definitely happened to me a decent amount when I was first learning, a prayer book which you get from the Great Brain Robbery quest. This is used as long as you're wearing either a holy symbol or a hallowed symbol to cure poison inflicted from failing to pick coffins open at the cost of 1 prayer point. Next I have the plank sack filled with planks, acquired from the Mahogany Homes reward shop for 350 carpenter points. This is definitely not required, but it can be useful if you forget to restock on planks between runs. Then we have the rune pouch with nature runes for Alks, as well as the runes for the highest level enchant spell you feel comfortable using. Personally, before getting the Hallowed Focus, I used level 4 enchant, costing 1 cosmic rune and 10 earth runes, but once you get the Hallowed Focus, I would recommend just the level 1 enchant, costing 1 cosmic and 1 air. Lastly, I have the Strange Old Lockpick to increase the success rate of picking open coffins. As you progress and amass marks, you can eventually swap out gear and items for those from the Mysterious Stranger's shop. Note that once you purchase the Hallowed Ring, food is no longer necessary as you'll no longer take damage from any of the traps. Now for plugins, the stock Runelight Agility plugin has a Hallowed Sepulcher section which will highlight projectiles, traps, and skilling obstacles, all of which are super helpful. With the Tile Indicators plugin, highlighting your true tile can help to know exactly where your character actually is and to help you be more precise with movement. Lastly, the Ground Markers plugin can help a ton by marking certain ground tiles all throughout the Sepulcher. This can be used to mark things like safe tiles or alternating tiles to better path when running. I don't remember exactly where I got my ground markers from, but I'm pretty sure if you find a comprehensive Sepulcher guide, they'll have some for you to import into your game. And with that, that's pretty much all the information that I can give you about the Hallowed Sepulcher. You know, I really enjoy this whole process of putting together these little guide sections. I really feel like it helps me to learn the game on a bit of a deeper level, so I hope that it can have at least somewhat of the same effect for some of you. Alright, we activate this. Boom, 90 agility. It took me way longer than I was expecting to get this. I got insanely busy with work and just life in general, but I did it. I knew that it was going to be a grind, and I knew that it was going to take a while, but honestly, I did enjoy doing it. Today alone, it's only 11 a.m., and I've already gotten 100k XP. Yesterday, I got something like 330k XP. It was a lot of fun just kind of getting into the movement of Sepulcher and understanding the pathing of the game a bit more. But that's not to say that I enjoyed every part of it. You know, sometimes you get teleported back and that can mess you up. Sometimes you get teleported forward and that will mess you up. Sometimes, you know, you just misclick, you click too early or too late, or you click on the wrong tile. And once you get messed up, it's kind of hard to get back into the cycle of things, especially with the instance. Since timings are always the same, you kind of get used to doing essentially the same things every run. And so sometimes when you've been doing nothing but agility for like the past 4 hours, messing up can definitely take a bit of a toll on the mental. But I'm glad that I did it. You know, I'm not really looking forward to the next 9 agility levels, but I'm sure, you know, over the next few months, I'll do a decent amount of rooftops in my spare time and, you know, come back to Sepulchre a bit once I hit 92 or something. But I figure we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. In the next video, I think I'm just going to be focusing on finishing out my base 90 stats. I don't think that it should take too long for all of them. Smithing shouldn't be too bad at all. I have a decent amount of gold ore in the bank already, and I have a good amount of mithril and adamant bars for Giant's Foundry. I mean, fire making I can do in probably a day or 2 at Wintertot, so I don't think that that should really be too bad. Lastly, I have prayer. I have 90 banked already. I'm not totally sure if I'm going to be doing Wildy Altar or the Varlamore prayer. No matter what, I have 90 banked, but I haven't really tried the Varlamore method yet. I would just need to figure out how I would be getting all of the Sunfire Splinters for the wines. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know. The last thing that I want to say is just thank you. Thanks to everyone who watched, liked, and commented on the last video, and everyone who subscribed. I definitely didn't expect it to gain as much traction as it did, so I appreciate all of you. I've been kind of thinking about doing a little bit of streaming too, so if that's something that any of you would be interested in, feel free to let me know in the comments. But yeah, hopefully the next video will be out a bit faster than this one, but we'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.